Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making fried apples. So this is a really quick and easy recipe. You're going to need at least 4 apples to start with, which you are going to peel, cut. You want to cut these into smaller slices, which basically will cook up easier. You don't want huge hunks of apple. It will take quite a while to cook that. Go ahead and take off all the outside skin, then take the stem out of it, cut down to the core, remove the core from the apple, and just slice it into decently thin slices. They don't have to be totally thin, but you don't want huge hunks of apple. So as you can see in the video, I am just slicing these down to where they're pretty much just thin slices. You're going to do the same thing for each of the apples as you go along. I got green apples for these because I like them. It's really your choice which kind of apple you want to use. These ones just taste right for me when you add all the ingredients because you are adding a lot to this to make it sweet. Once I got them cut up, I put a little bit of lemon on them just to stir it up some to make sure that they didn't start to brown before I was ready to use them. Then you're going to need a medium to large skillet in which you're going to put a stick of butter, which is basically a half a cup. And you're going to put this on medium high and break up your butter and melt it. Get it completely melted, and then we're going to add other ingredients after you've got it moved around the pan and melted down. Now, I chose to do this in the pan rather than in the microwave. You could do it either way you want to get the butter started. I figure if I'm going to heat up the pan, I might as well just melt it there. So go ahead and just continue to move the butter around as it melts. Once it's softened to a point where you're ready for the other ingredients, then we'll go ahead and add more. It won't take long for the butter to melt down if you're on medium to high heat. Now, once your butter is melted, you want to go ahead and add in a half a cup of sugar, and then you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon. Once this is in, start mixing it around. It'll mix in with your butter, and you're going to keep going with this until it's totally incorporated. All the dry needs to mix into the butter, and that way you're going to form a little bit of a sauce, kind of. So keep stirring it around. It will actually melt into each other until it's completely mixed through, and then you're going to have a big pan of brown, basically. Now, as you can see with mine, the butter is melting more and everything is mixing together. The sugar and the cinnamon are becoming more a part of the butter. So keep going with this until you've got it completely through. And the butter will continue to melt as you go along. The whole idea of this is to totally dissolve the sugar into the butter. Now, when you get it most of the way there and you think that it's really starting to incorporate, is when you're going to add your apples into it, which you've already cut up and had ready to the side. So as you can see, the heat is making the butter break down completely now, which is good. Just takes a minute and you have to keep stirring it to get it to that point. But once it gets there, you're in good shape. So continue to stir the whole time. You don't want the butter to burn at all while it's cooking, and with the sugar you want to keep it stirring so that way everything keeps mixing through. So every couple of minutes you do want to mix through this just to make sure that it isn't sticking to the bottom and you haven't gotten it too hot. And at the point that everything is pretty much dissolved and mixed together, go ahead, add in your apples. Now, once you get them in the apples into the sauce, and you want to get it up to a temperature where it's starting to bubble, you're going to want to cook this for at least 8 to 10 minutes to make sure that everything is cooked through and you've cooked the apples completely, because they'll soften up and they're more edible at that point rather than being hard. They're going to be a soft apple, and they're going to be coated with the sugar and the cinnamon, and it's going to have a really sweet flavor to it. And this is something that's really great that's added to the side of, either if you're having it for breakfast, you could have it as a side thing with lunch or dinner if you had certain things you wanted to mix it in with. It's great because if you actually use a slotted spoon and you're taking this out to serve it on a plate, it's not going to be a total messy, sloppy thing. It literally, you're going to get apples that are coated with the sugar and the cinnamon. Once you get these stirred through and you get everything in place, you're going to add a little bit of vanilla extract, because I like putting that into things to flavor it. You basically could get away with a teaspoon of it, or you can add more if you like the flavor of, that's your choice. Stir it through as you're going to make sure that it incorporates with your sugar and your cinnamon and your butter. And you're just going to let this cook, because as you continue to watch, with mine, it's going to start bubbling. You may want to be careful of this. If it starts popping out of your pan, you may want to put a lid on it. Definitely continue to stir. You don't want anything gluing to the bottom or making a mess that way. But you do need to stir it to keep the flavor going through completely. Now, as I said, when it's bubbling like this, I would definitely cook it for at least 10 minutes. You might get away with 8 minutes, but 10 minutes you're going to be sure that it's cooked. But you can always test an apple, a thicker one, to see how it's cooked through. You don't want it being all hard when it comes out of here, because the whole idea of this is to have a softer apple that is flavored like sugar and cinnamon. So as you can see with mine, I turned it down a little in the end to let it simmer down some, because as this cools it will thicken, and when you're done it'll look something like this. And you can put it in a bowl and serve it, like I said, with a slotted spoon, so that way it goes great with breakfast. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.